It has been requested that I inform you that we are just lay people. We are not affiliated with Free Play Corporate and its subsidiaries in any way. Our opinions are our own and amazing and accurate.
Yes.
Like, so that's true of all of us. And Free Play only begrudgingly lets us tell you them. I'm just kidding. They're cool. They're cool. But like, if we say something crazy, don't sue them.
Yeah.
That's
It's just
basically-
us. It's a good disclaimer.
Come at us. Mostly
Come at
because I don't care.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Happy Wednesday.
Yes.
We're back. We're at Free Play Richardson again. Nice quick drive for me now. Recent mover. This is Pinballers. We're going to talk pinball events, pinball tables. We're going to do a little mix at the end because we have a Killer Queen event going on later tonight. So if you are if you're bored, you're watching this right now, come through. It's a good time. But I'm Brennan. This is Shannon. That's Austin.
Hey.
We're going to talk some pinball. We had a tournament that wrapped up here this past Monday, Pinball Monday. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about Black Knight, Sword of Rage. That is the now not newest addition to Free Play Arlington because Firepower came out today in place of the America's Most Haunted.
That's
so
it.
I don't think anybody's going to cry too hard about that. But
No.
Anyway, we're here. So let's get going. So before we get too far into anything, I want to plug an event that we're going to have later this summer. It's titled the End of Summer Pinball something or other. The end of summer part, I don't know if that really applies in Texas because really, I mean, it's not. We're
The end of
talking.
summer's like October.
We're
right?
talking mid-October.
Yeah.
So that might be a misnomer, but end of summer pinball events, that's a $500 prize pool. It's a $21 entry. If you're into IFPA points, if that really turns you on, you'll get plenty of those, surely. 48 players tops, so that's real manageable. And by the way, 48 players. The Pinball Monday had 40 players
40.
this
Yep.
past Monday, so crazy. Anyways, it's all going to be wrapped up in one day. It's going to be a good time. If you went to Pinball Mania, you kind of know what this is about. If you didn't, you missed out, and you should come to this one. Regardless, we'll have the link here posted in the chat, but sign up. It's going to be fun. If you're into pinball, great. If you're not, you should be. Sign up for this. Come play. It'll be a
Got my
good time.
ticket yesterday.
What about yesterday?
I got my ticket yesterday.
You got your ticket?
Yeah.
Well, you're better than I am in that regard. I'll procrastinate until
However,
there's like
I
two
just
left.
found out about it yesterday somehow. I didn't see it on
Yeah,
Facebook.
I don't really
so
have that excuse.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, let's get into it a little bit. We had Pinball Monday this past Monday. By the way, as usual, I guess we'll just go ahead and plug this again too. This is typically the first Monday, pending any extenuating circumstances. It has been, with the exception of one little trial run in Denton, which I personally enjoyed because I won.
Me too.
Um,
Because I live there.
it's always at Free Play Arlington due to logistics and the number of tables, but we had quite the turnout this past Monday. 40 players. Is 40 players the most we've had at a Pinball Monday? I think that is the most players
it
we've
is.
ever had.
Yeah.
Lots of new faces.
Yeah, that was my biggest note, is that we did have a lot of new faces. Had a couple kids, which is always fun to see. Usually when I'm up here just playing around, just doing free play stuff, you'll see kids come up to the table, hit start 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, plunge, 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 plunge. Don't flip, don't flip, don't flip. This sucks, and walk away. So whenever kids have the patience and the interest enough to really get into it, I always think that's kind of cool.
They're either hanging off the shooter or they're hitting the 4th reactor on the first ball. It's one of the two. There's no in between.
That thing as far back as it can go. That
Yep.
seems to be really the most fun part of the kids who walk away after the first ball. Is they had a blast plunging the ball. So God bless them. But anyway, it was a big turnout. I don't know if I expected that or not, but this one sucked in a lot of people who just happened to be at the arcade, which is always encouraging, I suppose, that Chris will make an announcement or two. An hour 30, 10 minutes up to plunge time, and there was quite a few people who were there having a good time, hanging out, having a drink, having some food, playing games. Who were like, yeah, why not? It's free. And I think those people typically tend to have a lot more fun than they expect to. I think they do it on a lark, and then all of a sudden, they're winning games, or they're learning something, and it's a good time. So I really like the community involvement in that regard. It's not that I don't love the regulars that show up.
Two of the people that beat me were brand new.
That's
Two
what
of my
happened
strikes,
to me.
I got beat by
That's what happened to me.
brand new.
I'm like, I don't know
And
your
they're
name,
like, oh,
but
I
congrats.
suck, and
You'd be embarrassed to know how much time I've spent playing pinball,
Right?
but you just beat me, but I'll just keep that to myself.
Right.
And I thought for sure, so when I first got there, Brennan and I played a game. What did we play? It was Deadpool? We
Yeah, it
played
was Deadpool.
something.
It was Deadpool.
And I beat him. Barely. But I beat him, and I was like, this is a good sign.
It's going to be a good night.
Yeah. I was thinking that was the outcome for
Good
the
third
night.
ball.
Me first,
Yeah.
Brennan second, and it didn't work out that way.
Didn't work out that way. It didn't work all that great for me either. I have a theory, and I don't know if this theory is correct or not, but my theory is that I tend to do better when I take a strike or two early.
Yeah.
And because of the way the strike system works, and I guess we can take a second to talk about that, because the only time I've played in strike tournaments at free play, not that I've played in that many other tournaments, but so it's 3 strikes you're out, but you get a strike if you come in the bottom 2 players on a table. So if you're first, you're second, you're good. If you're third, you're fourth, you get a strike. You get 3 strikes, you're eliminated from the tournament. So this past tournament, I was rocking and rolling. I was winning tables and kicking butt, and I think I went, I want to say 3 or 4 tables without a strike. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, this might be a bad idea, actually. I almost wish that I had caught a strike somewhere in there, because then you're playing with the Warrens, with the Dons.
So Amber can attest to this. A month ago, I came up with this theory that you want to get a strike your first 2 games.
It's the Shannon theory.
It is the Shannon theory. And it works because when you get a strike, now you're playing with other people with 1 strike. You get 2 strikes, you're playing with other people with 2 strikes,
Yes.
typically.
Yep.
And so you've got the Dons and the Chris's and the Brennans all beating each other up and knocking each other out, while I'm over here playing with some newbie and a kid.
Yeah,
you know?
You noob.
Yeah, so I'm winning, and it's great until you lose to the noobs, and then
Yeah,
I have no excuses for that.
It's
But
soul crushing. Because you're feeling good. You're like, oh yeah, this could be a good day, and then that thought creeps in the back of my head, like, oh no.
and I think telling everybody's theory is still going to work, because people like Dawn and Lynn, they're not going to get a strike on purpose.
I can't do it on purpose.
I can't either. I really can't.
I don't think anybody can.
I just, when I get my first one, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's what I wanted. I
Right,
tried
it makes
for
me
that.
feel better if I do. I'm like, okay, no sweat. This is gonna be a breeze. So I don't know. We'll see if that. I'll have to take some data and see if that all plays out. But yeah, it went downhill quickly after my 3rd or 4th table without a strike. So I don't know. How'd y'all do? I mean,
I was like well, you saw how good I was playing, and that's me. I'm inconsistent. I'm either playing well or I'm not. It's like in my mind, I have to have the right mindset to play pinball well, apparently, and the right music and the right song and all this other stuff. So I was playing really well, but then it was just the ball save really screwed me up. So
yeah,
typically we have a ball save, and it does. I would play completely different without a ball save, but I don't know how to play that way because I never had to, except for the tables that don't have a ball save already. But you've got to play more careful, how hard you plunge the ball in the beginning, all that stuff is going to come into play. So, and again, my inconsistencies, that ball save saves me a lot.
You never realize how much you use ball save until they turn it off.
Oh, I already knew.
Yeah.
How'd you do,
I already
Austin?
knew.
You know, I feel like I did pretty lucky is what I would say. I think I got down to maybe the top 7 or something like that. So it was pretty late in the night. I mean, we left and it was after 11 o'clock.
It went late.
They
But
started late.
it was really fun. I mean, it's not because I think I did well. It just seemed like it was one of those flowing nights, right? I mean, it seemed like every table we were on, Black Knight was fun. You know, when you have fun games and they're in a tournament, I don't know, it's just a little bit different for me. It's not like I was killing it. It's not like I went over and did 300 million on Black Knight, nothing like that. It was just a fun night. You know, Monster Bash turned to be a shootout between me and Travis. And he had a monster first ball. I mean, he got like 33 million on his first ball, Monster Bash, which for those of you listening, if you played on this game that's in Arlington, let's just say it's set up pretty nasty.
Set up nasty.
You're not going to be bumping that game unless you want to tilt. And so 33 million is pretty monster on that. And it turned out to be a shootout between the two of us. I have recollections of things like that. It was fun overnight. I think probably the disappointment of playing on Star Trek and doing as poorly as I did was even then it was great. You know,
it got me
it was
too.
fun.
Star Trek, and I've played it because I lived in Denton up here until a week ago and played a lot of Star Trek up there. Played it at Dawn's house, and just something about it just doesn't really click with me. And that is the tightest Star Trek I've ever played on.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you breathed on it wrong, and it's yelling at you. So
coming out of Vengeance multi-ball, and you need to scoot it to one side or the other.
Nope.
You're gonna give it up.
There was another table that was that sensitive. I can't remember what it was. I tilted it. Like, I literally just tapped it and
Monster
tilted.
Bash was set up like that. There's a couple others. And really, I mean, you think about it. So we had 40 players. We got kind of a late start because we were trying to wrap up setting everything on tournament mode. No extra balls, no ball saves. And even then, with those tight tilts, and I'm sure there was more than one player that had a ball lost to tilts and stuff, that thing still went long. So it just goes. I think a lot of that too is sort of speaks to the level of competition that we have there. We have players there who are familiar with the games and
Warren and Don's last game went an hour, right?
Apparently it went a long time. And
it wasn't quite an hour, I guess.
I believe the last table was roller games.
Oh, nice.
And roller games really isn't that slow of a game. I mean, that's a pretty fast game.
Yeah.
That's one that doesn't have ball save.
No, that one doesn't have ball save
regularly.
I don't remember if you can turn it on or not, which I should know. We have it at the house. But either way, that's a fast game. So for it to last that long, it went the distance. That just kind of goes to speak about how that went. So I don't know if we mentioned that or not, but yeah, Warren Joe won.
Warren's amazing.
The dude's a boss. I don't know. I don't know what else to say. He makes it look easy.
That's my thing with him is that he's not very animated.
Nope.
He's very quiet. He's very nice and polite, and he's not arrogant or he's very humble, and he's amazing. Like, he's not sitting there shaking the table.
No.
He doesn't have gloves. He's not like, but he is good.
I don't think I've ever seen him tilt anywhere, and I've seen him play at multiple locations. I don't think I've ever seen him tilt.
I don't know if I have either. And it's, I don't know. I just don't know how to describe it. Probably because it's so polar opposite to my pinball philosophy.
You are fast.
You have a stance.
I'm nudging. I'm shaking. I'm sliding. I'm doing everything I can to keep the ball alive. I'm trying to just go. And he's very zen up there. I mean, it's just like his facial expression never changes. He's not talking to himself. He's not yelling. He's not clenching his teeth. He's not nothing. He's just making his shots. He's settling it down. And I think a lot of the understated part of that is that he's got a really good table knowledge.
Yes.
The dude's he's a student of the game. He really knows his pinball. I mean, he really knows his pinball, and that plays a huge part into it. But even then, I mean,
you still have to make the shots.
He's got ice in his veins.
Yeah.
He's
very easy to like it, to your point, as a competitor.
Oh my God,
because he's so knowledgeable. He's so fun to watch. I mean, I've been in a non-competitive mode where he's out there, and I just want to watch him play. It's fun. He's fun to watch.
He's fun to watch play. Just a good dude. So I'm never sad to see Warren win. I think that was his second. He was a guy who was this close for like month after month after month until he finally won it, and then it's like the dam broke loose. And I think that's like his second
and now he owns tables.
4 months. Yeah, he's had a few. He's sold a few. I mean, he's a collector now. But
Always like to see that. I always like to see people get into it.
Good
you know?
dude.
Yep.
Yeah, he's it's always a little bit different when he's not there, just because that's a big dog who's missing. So.
Yep.
With that said, yeah, there he is. He's 20th in Texas. I mean, that's a good player. Texas
20th in Texas?
Yeah, you can see it right there under 2019 NACS rankings.
I wouldn't be surprised if you told me he was even higher.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. He plays a lot of tournaments, which is frankly the biggest factor in those rankings. But also second. He's about to have a first on there. 9th, 5th, 4th, 2nd. The dude is. The most impressive thing to me is I would rather see 10 seconds in a row than 1 first and a 20th and a 30th and a 15th and a 20th. Being consistent in the hobby of pinball is so impressive to me because there's so much variation and every table is set up differently. You know, we had ball saves off tonight. Last time we didn't, and you know, it's just seamlessly adjusted to that. We adjusted some tilts. The table's a little tighter. Sometimes something's not working. Sometimes it's leaning this way or that way. So to be able to be that consistent is really impressive. I mean, the dude's fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Another thing that I sort of noticed and I guess maybe reflected on a little bit is all the players that have been coming out here since sort of the inception of Pinball Monday, which is, I think we're a year and 2 months into it maybe. I think the first one maybe was May or August of last year. And so we're not that far into it, but people like Shannon, like Austin, I'm trying to think of who else, Ray, Chris Delp, who were by no means pinball experts, pinball enthusiasts necessarily, pinball hobbyists, maybe didn't know that much about pinball in general, much less table knowledge, you know, techniques, things like that, who are now suddenly just perpetually hanging around. They're always seeming to end up in the top 15, the top 10, the top 5, winning tournaments.
You turn something into a competition for me, and I'm gonna try to get good at it.
That's my thing too, and that's what kills me about Warren is that he's very chill. He never gets fired up.
He's
but
not
you can
competitive.
tell,
He's just good.
you can tell there's something in him that makes him want to be good, and I think he just loves the game. I don't think it's about beating whoever he's playing. He just loves the game. So, but
I think he might be playing against himself, trying to get that.
Well, you always are, right? You're always playing
his
against
rank
yourself.
up,
Yeah.
but
Can't do anything to affect the player's score before.
he probably plays with us like, whatever. I'm just here for the point.
Even he's probably gotten better since last time I saw him, if that's even possible.
Oh,
but,
I'm sure.
You know, I think Ray in particular sticks out to me because that's a dude who, of ESPN the Ocho fame now,
Right.
apparently, as we
Yep.
learned today on in the community
Saw
group.
that.
But, you know, real into Big Buck Hunter and streams Big Buck Hunter, and that's kind of his big thing, but also comes out and plays a lot of fighting games, plays Super Turbo and Third Strike and all these other games, and he's just sort of generally hanging around and a big part of the group, but I wouldn't describe him as a pinball enthusiast or hobbyist until we started to do these
Then he
Pinball
found
Mondays.
Metallica.
And he just, and then all of a sudden, here's Metallica. It's like Palmer with Iron Maiden, and granted, Palmer was playing a little pinball before that, but all of a sudden he's starting to come to more and more in these, probably just on the hopes that he ends up on Metallica one of these tournaments.
He did.
And now he's good.
It's funny how that works, though, right? You'll get pulled into that intellectual property, whatever it may be. Maybe it's Star Wars, maybe it's Metallica, maybe it's Iron Maiden, but whatever, right? And it pulls you in, and the next thing you know, you're like, okay, well, I can transfer this over to other tables, right? Similar skills, similar shots.
It's the gateway into pinball, which is
it's if you get hooked on an intellectual property, it becomes the gateway drug to pinball.
It really beats my ass because they keep making these 80s hair metal tables, and you can never, especially it's not like, you know, pinball's just raking in the jack right now. I can never fault them though for doing it because I know that there are people out there who are going to buy them, or they're going to be at a bar or at a free play at an arcade somewhere. They're going to see it and be like, oh, AC/DC. Love AC/DC. Too bad the AC/DC table sucks. Sorry to anybody who likes it. But
Hey, I'm just glad it's
Oh, I
rock
love
bands
AC/DC,
and not
and
like a Justin Bieber pinball table. So
I'm sure
we are lucky.
That's coming eventually, I'm sure.
No.
But
Yep.
so you just get sucked in, and
Uh-oh,
there he
there's
is.
Ocho.
You got the ticker down there and everything. You know it's legit. Oh man.
Now
Boy,
what?
He is intense. Yeah. So I mean, imagine walking up and that's who you're playing with, and he looks like a Sam Squanch, and he's showing pictures of him with plastic shotguns in his hand. It's tough to beat him, and not to mention he's actually good at these now. And he goes to you know, this is expanded beyond free play too. He goes to a lot of other tournaments. He goes to as many tournaments as he can find, and I think that's just really cool and sort of a testament to what these free-to-enter tournaments can do for the hobby in an area.
That's another one. He's become a competitor. That he wasn't before, was he?
No, he wasn't at all. He was.
Nope.
He. I don't know. I mean, I knew he was into Big Buck Hunter. I knew he was
very
into
good now.
Super Turbo, but he is good now. There's a pretty good chance he's above me in IPA ranking, which wouldn't shock me at all. The guy goes to a lot of tournaments. He clearly likes the hobby, which is awesome because we couldn't have said that, a year ago. So Pinball Monday's been, I would say it's been a big success, and Monday was another good example of that. Chris is another example of that. He's producing today. But that's a guy who, he was real into the arcade scene. He's the day one P1 free play guy, and now he works here and has for, 2 years now, 2-3 years. And so
that's a guy right there. You talk about flying under the radar on pinball skills. So
I don't know if he is anymore.
Yeah, well, so maybe this is a quick call out. So I don't know if people realize just how good Chris is at pinball. That's the thing, and quite frankly, in games in general. So I don't know if you're aware of it. So you know the Alice Cooper table, right? Yep. You're familiar with the pin. You're familiar with probably where the state of the code was at this last TPF. They didn't have the $1 billion babies final Wizard mode complete yet. And so Bowen Cairns was there. And for those of you who don't know, Bowen Cairns actually designed the rule set for the Alice Cooper pin. Yep. And so Bowen admitted to us at the time, he gave a presentation on it like he often does at TPF. He gives a presentation on one machine. And he says, hey, I wrote the rules for this. We're still working on the Wizard mode. Probably impossible to get 1 billion points in this table until we finish the Wizard mode. So I use that as my intro. At the time, before Bowens did his live shot at TPF, I think the best anyone had ever known to score on that was about 630 million or so, and Bowen had put that up. Chris did 670 million with the right flipper coming off in his hand, the button, so he could no longer continue. So he beat Bowen's personal best by like 40 million, I think, right around there, before Bowen got on stage and beat his own score, 700 million or so. So that's a pretty big testament when the person who's writing the rule set for the game has never scored that high, and you go in and crush their score before they get live on stage. It's kind of a motivation. I mean, that's I couldn't do that.
That's one to put on the mantle, for sure.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It is. It's another good example like Ray, but again, this is somebody who works at a place with pinball machines, decides I'll give it a try, and then sort of talks to some more people who are maybe more into pinball and get some tips, and then he starts to do some research for himself, and then he starts to host tournaments, and all of a sudden he's won. Everyone won or two? Two, right? I think it's two. I think
at least two, maybe more.
At least
and is consistently in the top 10. I think he might have a second or third on that resume too. Yep. It doesn't take that long, you know what I mean? You don't have to practice every single day and grind and watch videos and tutorials and practice dead flips every day and practice. You could if you just play every once in a while and you keep things in mind, like I'm gonna work on not flipping so much. I'm gonna work on maybe post passing. I'm gonna work on controlling the ball.
And it's learning those things and then remembering to actually do it when you're
Right,
playing in a
to
tournament.
apply it, yeah.
There's things that I've worked on that I realized later I didn't do that. Like Chris taught me, if the ball's coming across the table, you can let it bounce off the flipper and don't flip. It's hard not to flip.
I don't think I did it a single time this past tournament, which is really
I didn't
silly
either.
to me.
I didn't either, but I was watching some dude because I didn't get to play the Black Knight table
I didn't either.
on Monday, so I haven't played it yet. So I was watching some dude play it on YouTube today just to kind of see how it plays out and stuff. And I was watching him play, and he was doing a lot of that, just letting it bounce, just chill and relax and let it bounce. That and nudging the table to if you know it's gonna go towards the side and drain. And I still don't know how to do it. How you're supposed to nudge the table to get it to not drain on the outsides.
It's something that you're going to get better whether you realize it or not if you play.
For sure.
And that can be said for most things, but I think especially pinball, in that it's so visceral, it's so reactionary, but at the same time it's also anticipatory, and you're thinking about which shot you're gonna make before it lands on your flipper, and eventually these things start happening without you really realizing it. And that's supplemented with a little like, hey, you know, how do you do that thing that you just did? How do you do like? Eventually, you're winning tournaments. You're placing third, fourth, fifth. You know,
You're buying pins. You're
It all
trying to
takes-
figure out how you can fit another one in.
yeah, and then,
can't wait
you're
to
like,
buy a
I don't have
pinball
room for
table.
this one anymore. This anybody need this? And yes,
So I think with what I spent on my son's shoes for school and school clothes and all that stuff, I probably
The
could have
answer is
bought a
yes.
pinball
Coulda
table.
bought
the
a pin.
answer is yes.
Yeah, so he's a senior. I have a year. And
You
I'm
mean,
buying
he's a
pinball
senior.
table.
You might have been able to buy 2.
Yeah, yeah.
That's- I
absolutely.
think
Probably
you're
buying some big
right.
shoes.
Really- yeah.
If you find the right deal, you can get you one for less than you think.
And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I have enough friends now. I can probably get a deal eventually. You know?
you could find something.
Yeah.
Let me know. I got contacts.
And I was talking to Warren about that. He was like, and I was saying how you need the money, and he was like, and the space. I'm like, no, I will make
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
That's not a problem.
No,
My
it's-
dining room table can go in the garage, and I'll have a pinball
Somehow
table in my
there's
kitchen.
always
Okay.
space. So there's
There will
always
be space.
You just don't know it until you know.
Oh, I'll
So
make
you got to
space.
make some cuts.
Treadmill out the door. There's my pinball tables going.
Now, speaking of which, I do have to mention, have you ever seen the documentary about pinball called Special? I think it's called Special When Lit.
Special and lit. Yes, I have.
Now, it doesn't paint everyone who's in the
No.
hobby in the most favorable of lights, but I watched it. Someone had recommended it. I watched it a week or so ago, and it's a bit over the edge in some respects. I mean, there's people like out there building scaffolding, having 2 tiers of pinballs in their house. I don't know if you remember that one.
I don't.
That was a bit much. Yeah. that's a
Yeah,
bit
but
much.
those
Yeah,
people,
you're-
they have a lot of money.
You're talking.
And they have
that's
a hobby,
addiction
so it's like-
territory.
Well, they that's just it. They didn't have a lot of money, and they were just like packing it in. I mean, some of these.
I do remember that guy. His
He had,
entire
he,
house
he,
was just
he had
pinball.
26 basically carcasses of pinball machines in one room. No legs, nothing, just
He'll get to it
stacked.
one day, I'm sure.
Yeah, he'll get to
He
it.
could be doing heroin, so there are worse things.
There are worse things.
Just saying.
Yeah,
There are worse
and,
things.
I mean, if you want to put it like that, then
Yeah.
yeah.
See?
This dude's living rich.
Yes.
Anyway, that's Pinball Monday. We're having our next one. What is it? Let's see. Oh yeah, there it is.
Oh, there you
Special
go.
Event. That's a good documentary. I don't. It
I'll
was
check
on
that
Netflix
out.
at one point. Not sure if it is anymore.
You
Would
can
you
watch it for free on YouTube.
It is
you'll,
on
You'll
YouTube.
have to deal with the commercials, but you can absolutely, if you have a Netflix, you don't have to pay for it. I'm sorry, you do have to pay for it on Amazon Prime because you can get it there as well. I watched it on YouTube and just dealt with the commercials.
Most people can do that now.
I feel like watching that, I'll just be sad that I don't have a table.
Nah,
No,
it's good.
you might actually, it might actually put you in check, and you're
Yeah,
like, oh,
it
I don't
might.
want to go crazy.
I don't want to get to that point.
Yeah, you don't want to go crazy.
It gets into Roger
There-
Sharp a little bit too. which
There's a
is
balance.
interesting.
Yeah, Roger's there without a doubt. There are some people that just kind of, I would say, lose themselves in the habit. So
Yes.
it is a
Yeah.
replacement for heroin in their case. So, yeah.
All right, so the next one is, let's see here, September the 2nd. So that's the first Monday of September, 7 o'clock, Arlington, as usual.
And that's
so,
the day before my birthday, so bring presents or
so, yeah,
beer.
bring
or
presents,
buy me
beer,
beer. Yes.
liquor, pinball table.
Buy me beer.
Um,
Or just show up.
Yeah.
That'll be my
yeah,
my
that's-
birthday present.
That's the best gift you can give. No, it's fine. Okay, so we have a little bit that we do with the community groups, more specifically that Chris does. We have games of the month. This month's arcade game that's Tempest, correct?
Tempest, you got it.
Tempest. And this month's pinball of the month is the new Black Knight Sword of Rage. So this came out, I think, March. So this is brand new. And we are fortunate enough that Corey got the premium and not the
Yes.
pro. So for those who are not super familiar with Black Knight as a franchise, this is an original theme from Stern. The first one came out back in 1980, called Black Knight. It's the first table that really puts upper playfields and multi-level playfields on the map. A few years later, it was Black Knight 2000. That was 89. That was more or less a remake, but improved on a few things. And now, for whatever reason, years later, we have Black Knight Sword of Rage. That being said, I've played the table a little bit at another location, and it was a pro, and didn't really grip me all that much because it's just sort of a generic fan layout. And then we get into the premium that has that upper play field, and then we're talking about a whole new game. So
different dynamic altogether.
It's a different game. It really is. And I'll get into a little bit about that later, about my thoughts on that. But anyways, this is Steve Ritchie, who designed the first two.
Yep.
For whatever reason, he has suddenly become known as the Mortal Kombat guy on the community group, which gives me a little twinge every time. This hedgehog-haired man is a pinball god, and I would hope that we could put some more respect on his name as besides being the Mortal Kombat voice guy.
And honestly, I mean, you know, he is kind of caricatured, and I think if you go back and you look at his heritage, right? I mean, the guy was doing pinball at Atari, of all places, right? He was doing that with Eugene Darvis before Eugene went on to Williams and designed Defender. Steve Ritchie, if not for Steve Ritchie, Defender would not have the reverse capabilities. The things that he has touched throughout his history in gaming in general, it really can't be understated. So I do understand maybe why Stern kind of let him have that third shot, you know, just to have.
Why not?
And I got to admit, the first Black Knight was probably the first pin that I can remember playing. I wouldn't say that I got addicted, played a whole lot of it, but that was definitely the first pin that I ever played back in the day.
I'm sure a lot of people could say that. It's a really popular game, and Black Knight 2000 is too. They're still selling for a pretty good amount. You're still going to struggle to find one for less than, you know, a couple $1,000, and that's if it's in just okay shape. So, yeah, there it is. There's your upper play field. You got your flipper, your drop downs, your pop bumper. This was sort of like, that was pretty revolutionary for 1980. I mean, that was something nobody had ever seen before. And we talked a little about, I don't remember if it was the month before the first episode, but just about the innovations that we have yet to see in pinball and the places it could go. That was definitely something that people hadn't seen before, and all of a sudden, you know, avenues were opened, and now there's plenty of games that have multi-level playing fields. Munsters Premium is one of them. I think to the detriment of the game. But I think Black Knight and Black Knight Sword of Rage implement it in a really clever way, in a way that doesn't really disrupt the flow of the game. It's a fast game like probably every Steve Ritchie game ever made. It's punishing. Because it's a fan layout design, there's, you know, left loop, left orbit, left ramp on the Pro. The ramp brings you up to the upper playfield on the Premium. There's a really nasty shot in the middle that you're going to have to hit that I'll talk about in a second. I mean, it's just splayed out like a fan, and I'm not normally a huge fan of those games. Game of Thrones is another example of that didn't really blow me away. But this one does it in a good way to where it's just like I like them. It's fast, it's nasty. You're punished for missing a shot. I don't know. I enjoy that aspect of it, but I'm not a guy who enjoys slow games anyway. So that makes sense. One of the first things that grabbed my attention was the animations. I feel bad for the people who design the animations of pinball machines, because I think a lot of times they get overlooked. Nobody's looking at the screen while they're playing, you know what I mean?
It's hard to. Like,
it's hard to.
If you have to look at the screen to know something that's going on, I'm screwed. I can't. I mean, I only have one eye, so
it needs call-outs.
But still, I now wear headphones, so if it's audio also, I'm not hearing it. Especially when they turn down the volume on the Metallica table, which is the only table that has good music at Free Play Arlington. And I jumped on the Metallica table. I took my headphones off. I hit start, and I was like, where's Enter Sandman? Like, what's going on?
Out of luck. It gets loud in there anyway, especially with 40 people.
I know.
Well,
and I have
mean,
headphones.
the music, though, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to it, but the music on Black Knight, you know, it's kind of two different volume levels, right? You've got those call-outs that are way up high, because I don't know if y'all were there. We cranked the machine up to like 37%, and it is overwhelming on the call-outs. But now you can get that metal crunch that's going on in the background that Scott Ian from Anthrax had his hand in. So, you know, some of the music that's on this machine is incredible. And quite frankly, I thought it would bring in a lot of those Metallica fans, Iron Maiden fans, et cetera, because most of the people who are into those bands were also into Anthrax. I know I was, right? Anthrax.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen them several times. And I think it's got got that crunch metal that you would expect from him. In fact, the bartender over at one of the bartenders was talking to me in Arlington. He said, "It's got such a metal sound." And I said, "Yeah, do you know that Scott Ian?" He's like, "You're kidding me. He created the music?"
Yeah, so like I said, I hadn't gotten to play
Yep.
Black Knight, and I was on YouTube, and I heard the music, and I was like, this is metal.
Yeah.
Like, this is good shit stuff. So, can I say that? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I Googled it, like, who did the music, because I had no idea. And then 2 minutes after I did that, Chris was like, I got Scott Ian's, for the podcast. And I was like, yeah, that's the Anthrax dude. Yeah. That's awesome.
Have you ever Googled who did the music on this pinball machine before?
No, never.
I'm guessing the answer is no for almost
never,
everybody.
because I was like, I don't know of a band called Black Knight. See, I didn't know there were Black Knight tables prior to this one, because there was never one at Free Play, so I don't know about it. Like, that's kind of person I am.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's one in a warehouse somewhere.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I
heard
haven't
that they're
played
around
one.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know, and then I'm watching this guy play on YouTube, and I was like, how do I not know who this band is? Because I didn't recognize any of the songs. It kind of had that old, old metal sound to it, and I looked it up, and I found out he did the music just for that pinball table, and that's cool.
It's a little bit like TNA in that regard, is that even if you're not into pinball, you're not into the theme, you don't really care. You hear that that music kind of dominates the space that it's in, and you can't help but kind of take a peek and see what's going on. So that's been sort of a running theme, is that Black Knight has some just kick-ass music.
Yep.
Starting with the original. But
I love that backhand shot into the lower lock. I love the 6-ball multi-ball. If you're able to get them both going, the top and the bottom.
Yep.
I have done that on this one in Arlington. And I got to be honest with you, I think one of the things that has to be talked about is Stern's decision, right, to make that upper playfield the premium level entry.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see that a lot more in pinballs in general, where you're going to miss out if you don't get the premium or higher. And I get it. It's profit margins, this, it's that. And you could certainly argue about the plexiglass and other, components they chose to use up there. But for me, if that pin doesn't have the upper playfield, it's not Black Knight.
I did want to talk about that. That's a disturbing but financially sensible and I think inevitable path that Stern's taken here, and one that I think, depending on the success of this machine, and yet to be determined, but that we'll see more of. And I think in the past it's been more of the Pro is just it's your basic model, but you're not really missing much if you don't choose to do the upgrade to the premium or the limited edition. Feature-wise, there might be like one or two little small things, kind of like Star Wars, where you go up into the Death Star instead of just that loop, which, by the way, I think is a downgrade in my opinion. But anyways, this is a huge feature, and the most iconic feature of the previous games that they are intentionally leaving out behind a, how much extra is it? $1,000?
I think so, yeah.
Like at another $1,000 paywall, and that's for a hobby that's already prohibitively expensive for a lot of people.
It is, without a doubt.
I don't know how to feel about that. And in one sense, I get it. In another sense, it's like, dude, pinball is not in a comfortable enough place to be turning away potential longtime customers who might, because again, you get one pinball machine and it's never just one pinball machine.
No, it's never one.
You're prohibiting those people who may be interested. Maybe they played Black Knight as a kid. They don't want to take the time to rebuild, repair an older game. Oh, they made another one, and it's got an upper playfield. Oh, except it's going to cost me, $8,000 or whatever. That's. I don't know how to feel about that. It feels greedy.
It's a tough pill to swallow. It really is, because on the top end, in terms of most of the manufacturers that are out there, you're approaching $10,000 for a pinball, right? I mean that I don't care who you are. That seems outrageous.
For an entertainment device.
For an entertainment device, and like you said, okay, let me go into a house where there's 3 or 4 of them, 30, 40 grand.
Yep.
I mean, there's people out there that have a lot more than that. So I get it. It just seems ridiculous. So and I also understand, the economics of it, right? They're selling a lot fewer of them today. It's not like Stern's producing 100,000 a year. back in the heyday, they were, and they were shipping a lot of them. You know, there was that period of time when the market was really in Europe. They sold more in Europe than they did in the U.S. and also in APJC. But it's just it's not the same. So I understand they've got to maximize profit, but there's got to be a balance, and I don't think a $9,000+ pinball machine is the answer, personally.
Is this? Is that it? I don't know what they cost.
The entry point is on most of the Stern Pros is today in 2019. Last year it was about $300 or $400 less. It's about $5,499, and that's typically about $200 to $300 below MSRP. You'll meet distributors out there that will do $200 or $300 below MSRP, and then to know that, to your point, right, you might be getting a little bit of a cheapened down model. In the case of Black Knight, I would argue that you are. So now you're another grand on top of that. So you're 67, I think 99 list, right around there. I may be off a few, but it's around there. And that just, even at that point, it's prohibitively expensive. Then you talk about something like any JJP, and you're 9,500 for a standard or whatever their equivalency is, 12,500 for their limited. That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absurd.
They're
I was talking about
banking on the
JJP
people in that documentary to buy the tables.
Yeah.
The guys who you gotta have.
I mean, do the prices go down after a year or two?
It's weird.
Yeah, but
it's
it takes
weird.
a while.
So some games like in an LE will increase in value, and just because of how they're received. Some they might have a 500 or 600 production line on an LE. They may not sell them out for 2 or 3 years. Iron Maiden, as an example, is, and I know it's a pin we're going to talk about in the future, so I don't want to spoil what we may talk about going forward. But that was a game that the LE, it sold out like literally every distributor that knew they were getting some. They had people lined up months in advance. That was an immediate sellout. Not to say that at day one there weren't others available, but it was considered to be an immediate sellout.
Well, that's why they'll keep doing it.
We'll talk about a game where the Pro is you're not missing much, if anything, by upgrading to the LE. I mean, or the premium. It's you got a little extra ball lock with the Mummy, and that's the biggest thing, I guess.
If you play that game a lot, and we can talk about this when we
will,
focus on it, but
I
mean, and this is coming from someone, we were fortunate enough to get an LE, but you guys also understand we love that band. We bought it sight unseen. We could have easily hated it, as you see with a lot of people who own Munster pins.
Well, you can always flip them too. That's
you can
the thing.
flip them.
It's hard to lose money on a new pin.
On a new pin, it is. So we were fortunate in that we fell in love with it too, but I would argue that if you go play a Pro versus a Premium and an LE, they play so much differently. It has nothing to do with quality. It's just that it's not like a completely different game, but it plays a lot different. It really does. That ramp shot and where you lock, it will become a key element for you in learning that game.
Well, maybe that's part of why this feels like a cheap money grab too. Is that
it is.
The upper play field is a flat sheet of plexiglass. It is not there's no art on it. And all the previous ones have had decorated, painted with playfield art on them, upper playfields. And this is literally a see-through like plate of plexiglass with a flipper and sort of curved ball lock on it. It felt really rushed. It felt cheap. I almost couldn't believe it when I saw it in the video that's their release. That's how they're releasing it.
You know that in the wild, that's going to become a clouded section on it because of wear.
Seen it. On Munster's Premium,
in that centerpiece,
it gets clouded.
It's clouded. It looks like someone has just, I don't know, taken a scouring pad to the surface. It's bad. It does not wear well.
Oh, yeah, that was Monday. It was like that.
It was like that, and that's why I'm scared of the longevity of this game, because the Pro, in my opinion, doesn't offer enough to warrant the price and keep you drawn in if you're really into the Black Knight franchise. And the Premium, while it does add that feature that you've come to know from Black Knight as an IP, it feels really rushed, cheaply done, like thrown in there, just like, hey, I know people are gonna complain, people are gonna bitch. Here you go. Here's plexiglass and a flipper. You know.
But that being said, I do like the way it plays. I don't know about you.
I got no complaints there.
I love the way it plays. I do like the element of having that upper play field and the targets, because it's like this. You're shooting air and getting no points, or you're killing it, or you're progressing lock, right? I mean, it's like that's it.
It's unlike some, and Munster's comes to mind here again. Unlike some upper or lower play fields, It has a meaningful impact on the game. It's quick. You're not in there forever. Stewie Pinball. You're
Right.
in there forever, and this is you're in and you're out, and you're either nailing it or you're not.
Right.
You're either getting points or you're not. So I like it in that regard. I really like how there's a pretty coherent storyline. You're killing the monsters to fight the Black Knight. The Black Knight callouts, which are that's Steve Ritchie again. He's done a bazillion voices in the arcade world, but he was the Black Knight in all the previous games. He's the Black Knight here again. The taunts, the callouts are hilarious. This is, I even hesitate to call it a toy because I think that's a really vague, nebulous term in the pinball world. It doesn't have enough toys, or has too many toys, or I don't care about this toy.
People complain about that too. It doesn't have enough toys to bash. In the collector community, they will rate a game based on how many toys it has to bash. Star Wars
on that.
was just
things on the
just
playfield
stuff to
that you
hit.
gotta hit, like
it
the
seems
ghost
ridiculous.
on the
Yeah, so it's
Ghostbusters.
as ridiculous to you as it is to us. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not that way. I
So
don't
when I
rate a
think about
pinball based
toys,
on
I
that.
think about like the Death Star on Star Wars. I tend to think of non-interactive things. Like I don't want to call Groot a toy. You know what I mean?
Sparky in
Sparky.
Metallica is a perfect
It's not a
example of a toy, quote unquote,
Right.
that they like to bash. Which really, technically, you don't hit
it's
it.
a target. You know what
It's
I
a
mean?
target,
with a bobblehead on it. But regardless, it's
So would the castle in Medieval Madness be considered a toy?
They
guess.
would, yeah.
I
consider
probably.
it, Yep.
I think that's cool.
I
but
think
just
it is
because
cool.
it goes,
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
you blow it up. Like, I mean,
some people are obsessed with toys. I think in general they're gimmicky and they don't add anything to the game.
Yep.
But those are a couple examples of things that do. And this
makes
is
you feel good.
This is the best, I think, toy ever because it's not just a bobblehead attached to a stand-up target that does this when you hit it.
No.
It's got a mace.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see the mace?
See, no, I
That-
haven't seen
that-
that.
that-
I gotta
Spinning
play it.
mace.
I don't know if you saw that picture that Chris had shown earlier of the play field. We took that with the glass off, and the plume extends above the play field. So it looks really
Yes.
kind of jammed in
And
there
it
and
gets
natural.
Bent back.
Because it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It did on the
Yeah.
Pro. The
I think he's
plume
gonna
of his
bring it up
helmet
again.
got
So
in the way.
That's it.
Yeah, so it even extends above the glass right there. You can see the feathers on his helmet. They're pushed back
Oh,
a
that's
little bit
kinda
with
cool.
the glasses on. But there's that to the left of the knight. There's that mace,
Oh yeah, I saw that.
and so that'll spin, and you're required, and it's spinning.
I thought it
think
was
it's
just a
spinning
spinner.
towards you, and so you're required to hit it. But of course, it's spinning towards you, so you don't know where that's going to go. There's two balls on either end of it too, so it's not even a flat surface. That thing's going to go wild. That's a really cool feature. He talks crap to you while you're doing it, and then that shield to the left or to his right. If you hit that while it's down, I don't know if there's anything to qualify this. Sometimes it just hits it and just comes off flat off of it, and other times he'll like flick it at you and flick the ball back. Which the first time it happened, he flipped it right down the middle and talked crap to me. So I thought that was perfect. But when that lifts up, you can back in that shot, and that's your on the Pro. It's the ball lock. Is that premium too?
It's the lock on premium, and it's also your
You
mystery
also
shot.
modes, your
Yep.
mode start, your mystery shot. So you have a few things going there. I think that's a really well integrated toy. His eyes light up. It's really detailed, well done. It's not just visual, I guess, which is my biggest problem when people talk about toys. Is
Yeah.
that
Mine too.
Yeah, a bobblehead that you screwed into the playfield, and for some reason that adds $500 to the value.
Yeah,
It's never been my
see.
thing. But I think they did a really good job with that. Just in general, I wanted to play it, but I've only played Black Knight once or twice ever. So I had no nostalgic or personal draw to it.
Yep.
But I was like, yeah, I'll play that. I mean, that's a famous pinball theme, and I'm glad they did what they did with it. I think they did it justice.
I like the speed of this one more than any of the others. This one, in my opinion, is the best in terms of speed of play. I like that it's fast. I like it better than the previous two for that reason. I
Fair
think they
enough.
play slower.
Yeah, I mean, they did. Most games tend to play slower back then, you
Yeah.
know. And so
Yeah, I don't like the older. I like the new, faster game style. I really wish I could have played. I tried to play it Monday, but I got there early, and then you had people on there that were just playing it because it's a pinball table.
Yes.
And then the regulars started showing up, and they were playing it because it's the
gave it
table of the month, and I knew I wasn't going to get a high score because if the table's not in Richardson or Denton, I'm pretty much out. Like, I can't go to Arlington just because I want
It's
to
a haul
go.
for me,
I want to
too.
go have a drink and play some pinball. I'm gonna go an hour and a half to Arlington. No, it's
It's a
not
haul.
gonna happen. So,
It's a Pinball Monday exclusive for me for the most part.
yeah.
But it's always worth it. That's another thing that came to me was just the game of the month thing. I don't know. Maybe we didn't explain that enough.
That's my favorite thing. I love the game of the month, but the last 2 or 3 months, 2 months have been in Arlington.
I've been slacking on
And
it.
I look at the first of the month. I'm like, please be in Richardson. Please be in Richardson. Like,
I've been
because
slacking on
this
it.
is I get off of work and come here until traffic dies down. So Richardson's actually better than Denton for me as far as
It's better
location.
for me now.
Yeah. So
It's we do it every month.
I
there's-
think Richardson maybe needs more pinball tables.
I mean,
Corey's talked about it.
I would
Did
never
you see his
complain
post
about
on
more
that?
pinball.
Maybe less
Yeah. So,
Street Fighter and more pinball, maybe, you know?
Oh, that's
well,
a shot.
that's where all the hardcore.
Chris
is
Street
over there.
Fighter
That's a
stuff.
shot.
Yeah. I think Corey mentioned in his post that they were going to go through a floor layout redesign in Richardson. And I believe his goal, I may be misstating this, it was either 10 to 12 or 12 to 14, which would come close to doubling the number of pins that are here.
Yeah, it would.
And
That would be
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
No
I think we
complaints.
could use maybe less tables or get rid of the bathrooms.
I don't know why people have to set it all if we're
There's a
going to
parking
exchange
lot
these
out there.
for pins, right? I mean, just take
Right.
them all out.
Yeah,
That'd be
just
my
gone.
vote.
You can see
Sit
it on the
on the
pins.
floor or something.
I'll help set them up if it'll, convey.
Yeah, you know,
Hey,
I'll help you.
you can count on my help as well.
I
There you
moved one
go.
this past week. It wasn't that bad. I mean, the movers did 95%
heavy.
of it,
Some
but
of
it didn't look that bad.
Oh,
So the heavier the table, the harder time I have with the nudge, obviously, especially I'm all out of shape. So I go to nudge the table, and I just nudge myself because the table doesn't
Yeah.
move, I'm like, oh, okay, that didn't work. But I was playing Iron Maiden today. That table's super light.
Yeah.
They're making them light now.
Yeah, like
Yep.
I mean, you can just tap that table and nudge your ball
They're
back
making them
into
with lighter
the
wood,
playfield.
too, not to
Ship-
mention all the electronics that are.
I think the
being
shipping
lost.
weight on Iron Maiden is under 250, so that's
That's
created
very
in box.
impressive.
That's
And
that's
and you
insane.
get into like I think JJP's Pirates of the Caribbean. I think his shipping weight's about 370.
I don't even think I can nudge that table.
Yeah, it's about
Yeah.
120 pounds
For
more.
a game that came out in, I guess it came out in 2018 technically,
Yep.
didn't it? For a game that came out last year,
Yeah, but that's a
real
wide body
heavy.
table.
That's a heavy.
It's
It's wide
wide.
body,
It's
but
got a bunch
still.
of stuff.
Yep.
It's got like a
Alright.
37-inch screen TV on the top.
Hope you're not
and-
trying to put that sucker on the second floor, because
No.
good luck getting it up those stairs.
Oh, they'll do it.
I'm sure they will.
It's their heroin.
Anyway, game of the month. So we did that on a monthly basis. Arcade game, pinball machine, Tempest, Black Knight this month. You earn Hall of Fame points, which is something that we do on a yearly basis, where you just accumulate points, and the person at the end of the year with the most points is your Hall of Famer.
And you get like
There's cool
a
events.
$20 gift card. to
Yeah,
Alma
there's something
Draft
like
House.
that. There's cool events. We had like a Monopoly table for the top. I think it was the top 15 or so people in the Hall of Fame list. And you got your picture on there and everything. It's cool. Just post a picture with your free play bracelet of your score. Doesn't have to be a good score or a high score. Just post it. So.
And it's fun. It makes just a daily outing to
Sure,
the,
you
to
got
the
something to do,
arcade.
and it's
I'm like,
turned me
okay,
on to some games,
I've got to
too.
beat Chris's score on this table,
Yeah,
and
like
then that's what I
Robotron.
spend the night doing is trying to beat
Right.
his score.
If you get burned out, then you're free to do it. All right, so now we're joined by Jason.
Hi, everybody.
Jason.
My name's Jason. I'm here to talk about video games.
We
Jason,
love
let's talk
video
about
games.
video games. We're here to talk about pinball. So you're here for, tell us about your video game.
I'm here for Killer Queen, which
Killer
is
Queen.
the 5-on-5 fast-paced, action-y. It's like Joust with more of everything.
That's a pretty good description
It's
of
going
it.
to be some.
I'm
gonna be
also
some
going
good
to be
time.
playing it.
I've seen people with team shirts, and I'm excited. So yeah.
Team
Team
shirts.
Team
Well, I'm
shirts.
slightly less excited, but
You're
it'll be a
going
good time
down.
regardless. Yeah.
Fair. Then you know who the good people are because they bothered to get shirts printed.
Yeah,
And that's what
I
it comes
did
down.
not.
If you
forgot
have
my
if you
shirt
have
at
that
home.
kind of flex to get a shirt with it with the
Yep.
stuff on it, then yeah.
They walked in with the
You're
drip,
serious.
so I'm a little
walked in.
scared of that. Yeah, here we go. We got a little Killer Queen promo. This is again we're at Free Play Richardson right now. Let's see, it's about 7:52. We're gonna get started here pretty shortly.
8 minutes.
We're looking to start as close to 8 as we can. Come play this game. So last time we did this podcast last month, we had the same event right afterwards. I'd never played this game before. I'd always seen it. It's been interesting. I've played a little bit of Joust before, but Chris convinced me to stay and play a couple games, and I am so suckered in, it's not even funny. So come play this game if you're bored or you're here already. Stay.
If you can
play
come
this
in
game.
8 minutes, you can be on my team. Cause I'm
Yeah,
team.
no, you
I'll
can.
stay
There you
if you
go.
come.
Yeah, you should stay.
There's
So
your
come play on
8-minute
Shannon's
countdown.
team.
Your 8-minute warning
Yeah.
Yeah.
to join
So
Shannon's
Drive
team.
fast. Speed.
Drive fast. Take chances. Get here. You'll need that adrenaline. You'll need all that energy.
Thank God
You'll
for
need
the
those,
disclaimer.
You'll need those brain endorphins. Get here safely, but
Safely,
get here.
but
But
fast.
get here. You need to get here safely. The people around you, if they're not here to play Killer Queen, then
Irrelevant.
they're kind of on their own, aren't they?
They're probably on their way to play Killer
They're
Queen.
probably on their way. If they have team decals, if they have Killer Queen stickers on the back of their car, then you want to avoid them because they're not only fast, but they're skilled in team tactics.
You either want to
And
avoid
there's
them,
4 other cars
or you want to
ready
hit them from behind or from above.
Yeah, you have to hit them. Go off, get on a curb,
Yeah.
and then you can
Yeah,
eliminate
you
their
can't
cars.
hit those
Easy.
people.
Yeah.
Their
We're looking for a
reflexes are
military
insane.
victory on your way to Killer Queen.
Mhm.
So Jason, how'd you get involved in Killer Queen?
Well, I've played it a few times, but Chris remembers me from back in my days at GameWorks calling play-by-play for Indy 500.
All right.
So really, once you've called play-by-play for a racing game, you can call play-by-play for just about any game.
Yeah, that's pretty fast-paced.
But I played some with my Extra Life team, and really, I mean, even 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. The more players you get, the more crazy it gets.
Absolutely.
But you can have fun with any amount of players because it's a huge board. Whether you're playing 2 people or 5 people, you can play like 3-on-4, 3-on-2, even offset teams. It's still the strategy is still there, and there's just so much going on. But 5-on-5 is probably the best way to play it.
Yes, that's when I had the most fun. I've been trying to get my brother into it. It's one of those games that is pretty easy to explain, right? It is. It's really similar to Joust, but it's also kind of hard to explain because there are 3 different ways to win.
Yeah, there's 10 people, 3 ways to win. What's there to not understand?
Yeah,
it'll
it's
be
simple.
such an easy game to do play-by-play for. I'm
Just
excited.
mash buttons really fast, right?
Yeah. Easy to pick up,
You
hard
can't-
to master. I
Yeah,
would
you
say.
can't really play that. You can't really play that wrong. One button, one joystick.
Mash
you
one button?
You can't play. You
I
can't
can do
play
that.
super wrong, but you can play really, really right. And I think we're going to see some teams play very, very correctly tonight.
Especially if
That's gonna
they
be
got like
exciting.
the team.
I wish we wouldn't,
sync
but I
and-
have a feeling you're correct.
Well, who knows? You know what? That's the best thing. Over the course of several games, you will get better. You'll just by playing and seeing what the other teams are doing. You will.
I felt myself getting better over the course of the
I
last
believe.
game.
I
Just-
believe in you, and I believe in whoever your team is.
I appreciate that.
So,
Thank you.
Are you
got
playing?
this.
You're playing tonight?
I'm playing tonight. I'm looking for some team members. I got my brother Jake, who's here. Girlfriend Amber is coming, if not already here. So we're gonna fill in the gaps a little
That's
bit.
3 people right there.
We're gonna get pub stomped and
Anything
Make it
else?
4.
have a great
I'm in.
time.
There
we
you
got
go.
Shannon.
There's 4. There's 4. Anything else is just bonus.
We'll find someone. Yeah, we'll
I
find
believe-
someone.
I
It's
believe in your
my
four-
my
your
stunning good
four-person
looks
combo.
will
Dylan's
charm
here.
somebody. Dylan's here. I imagine Dylan has a team. Dylan's a bit of an arcade
Boy, yeah. If
superstar
Dylan
around
doesn't have
here.
a team,
Yeah,
then you
that's true.
jump on.
Him and
jump on
Mike
Dylan.
B have their own VIP section, I think. Last time I checked. All right, what time are we at? 7:56.
7:56.
All right, 4 minutes to game time. Let's go ahead and start to wrap this up a little bit
We're
here.
gonna go play some Killer Queen.
We're going to play some Killer Queen. We chatted a little bit about Pinball Monday. Again, we have the end of summer, not weather-wise, but I guess we're going to call it end of summer. The end of summer tournament coming on here. Let me just get my the sheet out here. $500, not $5. $500 prize pool, $21 entry, IFPA points if that really turns you on. It's going to be done in one day,
me on.
so if that turns you on, and it turns me on.
$500 buys you a lot of school supplies.
If
If you
that's
have
your
to go
thing.
back to school soon.
It
does.
does nothing
It's the
for
end
me,
It's
but
the end of summer for some people.
yeah,
Um,
my summer never started.
yeah.
It could be.
It just got really hot in the middle of the work
Just
year.
the school zone on my way to work will become active, and that's about the
Yeah,
only.
yeah,
That's a
there's-
sad,
the
sad day.
only way I'm going to know that it's the end of summer.
It's a sad day.
So what is that? September 21st. That's a Saturday. You can make that. Come on.
Oh yeah, summer's
Yeah,
definitely
free
over.
play.
We got a
Arlington.
noon and 4 p.m.
Noon and a 4. That's right. And then we're gonna have bracketed playoffs after that. So we got that going on. The next Pinball Monday, September 2nd, Arlington, 7 o'clock. As usual, show up. We had 40 people show up last time. That's like everybody except for you. So
Everybody but you.
show up, play pinball, have fun, beat
Bring
some
a friend.
of the
Bring a friend, then
Bring
you'll
a
have
friend.
42
Bring a friend,
people,
bring
and
2
you get
friends.
even.
Bring
You want to
some
keep it.
ladies.
You want to have even numbers.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. Jason hopped on, talked a little bit about Killer Queen. We're about to do that. We're gonna take a little transition here, and we're going to broadcast from Killer Queen. So come out if you're not already on your way, and we'll see you here at Free Play.
Thank you guys for watching.
All right, good luck. I'll be rooting for you, but also for the other teams because I'm a very